Joined by the former Metropolitan Police Detective Peter Bleksley. Peter, always a pleasure to have you on the show. Let's start with the good news. Gun crime at a 15-year low. And it must hearten you to see boots through the door and those kind of raids, precisely the sort of old-school policing that you were a huge fan of. But nevertheless, if we can't control our borders in terms of thousands and thousands of people pouring through, Peter Bleksley, sorely surprised thousands and thousands of firearms are coming in.
Yes, unfortunately, and they are on an almost daily basis. But yes, credit where it's due. Our police, the National Crime Agency and other people involved in law enforcement are on permanent red alert with regards to firearms issues because, of course, they create such havoc and cause such damage, which was sadly seen only last month when a 9-year-old girl in London was critically injured after she had been shot. So whilst firearms discharges are down, sadly, we have in London and other cities seen a huge rise in knife crime, which of course creates huge bloodshed. But once again, let's just be grateful that the police are proactively putting those doors in and locking up bad people.
And Peter, another very concerning statistic in this is that only half of gun crimes get solved. And as you know, that's often because of a wall of silence, of the fear within communities. Sasha Johnson, you recall, in May 2021, a Black Lives Matter activist shot in the head in Peckham, just down the road from where I live. Life-changing injuries. Nobody has ever been apprehended for that case, Peter Bleksley. How typical is that of people being simply too afraid to speak out against these criminals in case there are recriminations against them?
Yes, I think we're all too familiar with that dreadful expression, the wall of silence, and it is built around many cases of people being shot. But there's a bigger issue here in terms of overall policing. If you have great links with the community through beat bobbies, neighbourhood cops, community cops, call them what you will, you do stand more chance of building trust and confidence in those communities and therefore getting someone to come forward. And also, let's not beat around the bush. In the last 20 years or so, even longer, senior uniformed police officers have demeaned the role of detectives hugely, and they've reduced it to the point whereby a university dropout who's watched 2 episodes of Vera can come straight into the police as a detective. And they're not sufficiently trained, they're not sufficiently experienced. So it is no surprise whatsoever that only half of firearms offences in the Met get solved. The detectives are not experienced enough, well enough trained, and the uniform cops are scary of those detectives who are so often very streetwise.
Peter Bleksley, every time you're on the show, I say it, and I'm going to say it again, if we have more people like you on the beat, we'd have a fighting chance. Thank you very much for joining us. Former Met Detective Peter Bleksley, always a delight to have you on the show.